Know your worth. Know your value. Now, I know with this one, you're going to think, wait a minute. What in the hell is wrong with knowing your worth? A person knowing their value? Well, normally, there is no harm and no foul with these phrases, and people sling them like hot dogs in a ballpark stadium. But it has come to the point where people literally talk just to hear themselves talking and fill the room with the cacophony and cadence of their bullying ego simply because they despise silence. The nonsense spewing from many people's mouths is just consequence of their ignorance and what they say and repeat. I hear it so much and from so many people who do not know their value. And then they expect others to make up the deficit. This to me is curious in the way that makes you ask, well, what changed? What happened that said person or individuals feel different than they did upon meeting a certain person or entered into a said situation? What happened, man? Well, the answer is 9 times out of 10, nothing. Absolutely nothing happens in these situations usually, especially nowadays. People are exactly who they say they are. And that is spoken in reverse terms. Reverse terms, I should coin that. So you should be skeptical if anyone says they're fantastically successful and rich, and then you find out they're not. So then one would be justified in feeling as though they had been duped. However, when someone explains to you that they have a certain circumstance in their life or a said situation that may not be exactly to your liking, and you proceed to involve yourself in said situation or continue with hopes of things getting what some would call better, whatever that means, then there is a shift that occurs with the dynamic of the relationship or situation. Some call it delusion, others call it soul growth or enlightenment. Whatever the preferred term, when a person enters into something knowing that they do not appreciate all the aspects of it, they cause a split in timelines when they attempt to alter it. There's the universe where everything is as perfect as the day you met said person and entered into said situation. Then there's the universe where you wish you could change this or that. If only this were different, or if only she wasn't around, or if only he would just see I'm the best one for the job. One must be cautious with such a train of thought because a shift occurs in consciousness that affords you the freedom to destroy your own damn happiness for the same exact person or situation that you so fervently knew was right for you and incessantly tried to convince that you are the best candidate. Upon further inspection, you find out that you were mistaken. But that's fine, because you'll just explain to them or show them you're right or convince them to change the situation to fit your selfish needs. So you begin to manipulate the situation. You begin to alter yourself in order to alter others. Maybe alter is an incorrect term for the subject. Maybe I should say you begin to expose yourself, to be yourself. That person you were hiding the entire time while you were trying to manipulate the situation or the person. So when there is no compromise, even though everything was disclosed at the onset, and the person or situation won't budge or be manipulated, then anger appears, rage, especially when it pertains to jealousy. And this is why this particular phrase is flawed. Know your worth. Know your value, know your worth nowadays means that what you used to want, you no longer want because you couldn't manipulate and compromise the situation to suit your needs, whatever they may be or have been. It's completely logical in a workplace or societal construct to, of course, know your worth. So you may be compensated properly and placed in the correct areas and surrounded by people who are your A-alikes. But in most cases, it's people who want something so bad, they have to have it. So they say anything for the time being just to get a taste. Then when they realize it's the flavor of the year, hell, flavor of the century, they fantasize and they have to have it. Upon realizing they cannot have said obsession without compromising themselves, they become jaded. Because of course they expect everything external to compromise for their internal. And that is completely backwards. And if they realize that they have to be patient, that's when they realize now is the time. Now is the time they know their worth. Now is the time they know their value. And then they either want to abandon, poison, or destroy something they were not ready for from the beginning. Things take time sometimes, long extended periods of time, depending on whom or what you're dealing with. Patience is a virtue, and quiet patience wins wars. So in summary, many people give up on their blessings before it's even had a chance to blossom, simply because they kick up so much dust during the growth process that it's impossible. Nothing can live. You got to dig deep for diamonds, baby. And it takes time for people and situations to heal and fully separate. Patience will erode mountains and birth stars. If you liked it before you got there, you should love it upon arrival and do all in your power to cultivate it. And with consistent patience, you will see that all you don't want will fall away. Just focus on what you prefer and what you want and ignore what you don't, especially if it was there when you got there. Because there's nothing you can do to change it without causing irreparable damage. It has to happen naturally, on its own. What you resist persists, like the guy said. And you may be the one that falls away, when the entire time it is exactly what was meant for you. Otherwise, why would you have been sent there in the first place? There are no coincidences. Now, in some toxic situations, of course, this doesn't apply. However, some situations become toxic simply because a new outsider entered with an agenda, believing they could take or hold or carry the weight of their desire. So that person may want something so bad, but they're unwilling to compromise that part of themselves. So it manifests itself through toxic actions and reactions. They argue, fuss, fight, scream, stalk, and ghost, and literally become the toxicity that they claim to be running from in their previous situations, because they know their worth. All of a sudden, this is the excuse for all their detrimental behavior. It's funny when you take the time to think, well, what was their worth before all of this? It's a tantrum. It's cowardice. And it's damaging to people and relationships that could have, would have, should have been. It forces dishonesty, which causes animosity and unending pain and distrust, depending on attachment level. They say it takes two to tango, but somebody had to initiate the dance. Hopefully you know the moves before you step, because everyone's watching, even when you think no one is.